we sing that right now, Father, even in our hearts as the song ended. No matter what happened in 2022, no matter if people lost jobs, if there were situations with children, with marriages, with finances, we can still know that you are a good God. No matter what we think you were supposed to do, because we think we're God and we think we know better sometimes. You know your thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Your ways are higher than our ways. We bend the knee this morning as we walk into 2023 and we say, you are good, and that all things work together for good for those that love God and are called according to his purpose. In the totality of life, we know that you are good, and we may not see it on this side of the glass, but we know ultimately that you, on the tapestry of all creation, of all time, that you knew how things were going to work out. May we not lose heart. May we not get disheartened in this place. May we not be discouraged as we head into a new year. May we know that you're on your throne. May we know that you have the whole world in your hands. You have every situation you walked in here with today. He has it figured out already, so you don't have to stay up tonight. You don't have to stay up tomorrow night. He doesn't slumber. He doesn't sleep. He's got it all figured out. You don't need to take pills to put yourself to bed. He knows, because he's a good God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. Thank you that you're a good God. We thank you in this house here this morning. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I'm thankful that all of you can be seated, that you've chosen to come here and give God your first fruits, your time here. It could have been easy to stay home, right? And I get it. It's New Year's Day. I don't know how many of you were out last night. You're out with family. You're out with friends. But that would have been the easiest thing to do. But here you are, starting the year off on the right foot. Right? On the right foot. And I would be remiss, I'm going to pause with what I was going to do. The children, you're going to leave in a little bit. You're going to wait for a second. They're staying? Even better. Great. I'd be remiss if I didn't stop. We're a family, are we not? Right? And when somebody mourns, we mourn with them. When somebody rejoices, we rejoice with them. I have to stop right now and point out you both want to come up? Christian and Janice Losi. Now, for those of you that don't know, I don't know, I walked in with them and I asked Janice if I could do this. So, I mean, this is a perfect Sunday, but they've been through a lot over the course of the past 8 years. Did you know I was going to call you up or no? Not today. You don't have to say a lot. You can wait to give it. So we want a testimony, right, as Christians, but we don't want any trials or tests. That's the truth of the matter, right? We read stories in the Bible and go, oh my God, what a great story. Look what happened to David. Look. But you have to go through some things sometimes to come out on the other side. And then to say, I've been through things and God showed me this, and that's how I know he's good. And even if it didn't work out the way I wanted to, but you got to go through some things. I don't know. You want to share anything?
Yeah, it could be a 3-hour testimony because over 8 years, 3 hours is nothing. I guess Janice and I, obviously, the last couple of days have been talking about what I've been through and what we've been through. And I just keep saying, when you're raised in the church and you've seen testimony, you've heard it, you read your stories, and all I always said was, I know. God's doing the work in you. I know. He's waiting for the right opportunity. I know. And, he's got to put you on your knees so that you can stand up. I know. There's valleys, and, I know. So for 8 years, it's been, I know. There have been opportunities that have been in my hand that have been ripped away. My legs have been taken out from underneath me where I know. Okay, I get it, God. I get it. You're working on me. I get it. And more than I can count, there's tears, and then I give up. But I really didn't, I think. Steps that I took were mine because I thought that's what was going to happen. And, if I go this way, you'll meet me there. And, then you can say when that didn't work, you say, oh, yeah, I know. I have to let you lead and then follow you. I know. And you say it, and you think you're doing it, and then until you can look back on a couple of years and you could say, thank God that happened, and I thought I was doing it, but it wasn't me, and he had to take that away from me so that he can move me forward. And, watching James up here, you can go that way, you can go this way, and I know. And, all the places that I've been and the people that I've worked with, whether jobs have worked out or dead ends have been there, I've always left on good terms. And I got a phone call. I quit my restaurant job, which was keeping me up late at night and kind of exposing me to things that I don't think the Lord wanted me to be in. Not saying it wasn't profitable, and I was paying my bills, and I was maintaining a balance, but it was starting to get away from me. And I took the step and said, which I've been told 1,000 times over 8 years, you take the step and he'll meet you. And I took the step, gave up the restaurant, which was quite a bit of cash, and I said, all right, you got to meet me here and now. Let's see how you work this one out. And a couple of job opportunities, and I did this, and this was really working out. And then I got a phone call from a school where I was an assistant principal at for a year. That was cut out from underneath me. That was 6 years ago. And they're looking for a science teacher. And I said, all right, and I've done this now. I think if I could pull it up, I have applied to over 600 education jobs in 7 years. There's over 600. And I don't know, 50 have worked out right to the end. And there's been times where I've sat down and said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And then the phone call came a week later saying no. And but they said, all right, you want to come in and do an interview and then do a demo? And I was like, you know what, I'm already going this other direction, and really running and spending time with the Lord where it's quiet and me. And I said, listen, I'm just going to let you tell me what I'm doing. And I held on to one and I held on to the other, and I said, you pick which one you want and I'll go that way. And then on Friday before Christmas, I got a phone call. They were supposed to call me Thursday. No phone call. And I said, are you upset? I go, no, I've done this now. Now I'm good. I'm good at this. You can tell me I didn't get it 100 times, and I'm fine with it because I've been through the trials, and I know he's working on something bigger. And then, so Thursday, no phone call, and then Friday at about 2:30, school was over. The assistant super called me and said, come in on Tuesday after the break, and you'll be a sub for a couple of days, and then at the board meeting, you'll be a teacher. But what was really satisfying is that when I went back in that building, as soon as I walked in the door, people that I forget their names because it's been years, they're, oh, Dr. Losi, are you coming back in? Oh, we loved you when you were here. We still talk about you. And then Janice found the yearbook of when I was there, and I was reading through all the teachers, and you realize that, you're a light. Even when you think you're not, God puts you in places for a reason, and sometimes it's for a short period of time, but then when it all works out, you're like, that's why. But they were coming up, oh, you're coming back, oh, we can't. You realize what you did since you've been here, what we've done because of the impact you made, and you were so good with the kids, so then you realize, I thought I was taking steps to go to certain districts and take certain jobs, and I was being used in a negative way, and then God took that away. And then now I realize that all of this has just been a journey, and He's always provided. I've never missed a bill. I've got a family that I didn't have before the whole thing started, and now that's been given back tenfold. And, just looking forward to the future, and, hopefully I don't have to be so stubborn. I guess as I get older, I'll start listening a little bit better. But I could say 1,000 times, he's working, and you just said it too. He's working, and sometimes pruning hurts. And I knew the whole time, wow, this one really stinks, and this one hurt. But all right, I know, he's working, and in his time, because 8 years was way too long. But I knew something would come around, and this is it. And it's what I love to do, and I can still be a father and a husband, and enjoy my time with what I always love to do, without having to, at 45, start something completely different that would consume me. So I do okay. No, and I have fun with the kids. And when you're a science person, like I said, if you're a social studies person, that's how your brain works. I've never stopped being a science guy, and people hate hearing me talk about it. But the kids love it. And when you love what you do, it's, you've heard that 1,000 times. As long as you love what you do, it's good. And but I put the time in.
I don't know if I could really top that, but just God is faithful. God is faithful. And we were going through everything. I had a peace about it that He was always going to provide, because He always did, no matter what. And when He told me He was going for another job, I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't even take the letdown anymore to see Him go up, and that roller coaster of emotions. But it was different this time. I've still had that roller coaster of emotions, but whether He got it or not, I was still content knowing that God is still going to provide. But, I was reading this morning Psalm 37, and God gives us the desires of our heart. So He knew the desires of His heart, and it was in God's timing, but it took His obedience to step out in faith. And God, He just always He never lets us down, ever, ever.
Yeah. I was thinking too, at 21, I started teaching. The first 4 jobs I applied to, I got. 2 teaching jobs and 2 administrative jobs. It was easy. You just be yourself, and it was easy. Then 600 nothings. So when he's ready, he will give you what you need.
Good. Amen. I mean, what a story of perseverance and resilience. And I felt like in the front row, I'm going to tell you something, all right? Ready? And I didn't want to say this, and I fought with God the whole time, because this isn't usually me, if you know me. I felt like God was saying to me, and he put it in my spirit, that you're going to be the superintendent of Brentwood within a decade. And not that you're looking to do that, but I feel like the favor of God's going to be all over you. I'm telling you. I felt it so strong, like you could hear it, you know what I mean? Like it was even louder than hearing the audible voice of God. But I felt that, and yeah. Yeah, this was the, yeah, we knew. I was bad. I was like, when I didn't hear from you, I was like texting, you know. So a lot of people in this church were carrying it. Obviously, right, parents and other people on the prayer team, but yeah, and that's the beauty of the body, right? We carry stuff together, right? And yeah, so you had to get up and talk about that today. Well, here we are. After that, I mean, I don't know, how do you right, do a regular sermon after hearing a story like that? Because you just heard a sermon, right? You really did. Do you want a regular sermon? No. Do you want something? I had 2 of them as of last. I changed everything. And I feel bad for Megan having to live with me, because I was like just trying to decipher and really hear the Spirit as to what I was supposed to talk about today. And then I was into something that was a little complicated, and Pastor Linda's trying to help me out. And she said, it's all right. Like, I've never done this before. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple today, but this is where I feel like God was leading me for us. You see the picture that is up there, and my pictures are even out of order. So I had 2 slides, 2 presentations. So this is my other presentation. And if you know me too, I don't usually, I'm pretty good, right? With, like, I don't make a lot of mistakes, right? I don't think I do. Maybe I do more than I don't know. Who cares? I'm talking to myself. My perfectionism is like coming out, and you're all kind of listening to it, right? So this is a picture of the Roman god Janus. Did you know, not Janus, right? How weird is that? The Roman god Janus, and this is really interesting. Did you know that the month of January, right? It's a time of, we look at it as a time of transition. And how many of you are excited for another year, right? A new year. You get a little excited, right? The calendar changes. Although, as we always like to say, right? Just because I asked Jameson, he's sitting next to me. I said, hey man, if you had to preach a message this morning, like what would you preach? What should I preach about right now? He goes, new year, new you. So I said, all right, but that's how many, but that's how many people think. Don't clap. He didn't preach it. His grandmother wants him to preach. You want to come up and preach? No? All right, you got to wait a couple of years? All right. You want to do this maybe one day? You see what? Yeah, you do? All right, I'm going to pray for you. It's generational. It's amazing how it happens. It's incredible. Your father was the last person. Hey, look at me. Your father was the last person that you would ever, that anybody in here that knew me from the time that I was young. I'm talking to you. Everybody's here, but you can ask these people in the room. They will tell you I'm the last guy that you would have thought would be up here holding a microphone, preaching messages. So you don't, whatever. Okay. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, so January. January actually comes from the Roman god Janus. Now, this is what's really interesting to me, that there are 2 faces, right, to this Roman god. And this god is the god of doorways, right, openings, transitions, and the god could see in the past with the face going one way, but could also see with the face going into the future. So here we are at the start of a new year, and what do? We go back and reflect on the year that we just had, and then we look to the new year that's coming. So here we are. Let's look at, just think about some of the events and the things that I'm going over. What happened on the world stage over the course of the past year? Well, you had the Queen, right? Queen of England, the longest serving British monarch. She passed away in the Lecce household. On one of the TVs, there was a picture that I had to look at, I think for 2 months. Right? My wife is obsessed with all things England. It was up there for a while. Yeah, it was. So we had the Queen who passed away. You had Elon Musk. He took over Twitter. You have just some other ones up there. You obviously, the Russia invading Ukraine. You had Messi. How many of you watched the World Cup a few weeks ago? Was that one of the greatest sporting events that you've ever seen? And the French didn't win. Yes. Right? Couple of claps there. We had Chinese President Xi Jinping, right, cemented his legacy. I guess you could compare him now to Mao Zedong being reelected for an unprecedented third term. And I'm sure, right, I mean, that's the elections in countries like China, right? We know how that goes. We had in July the James Webb Telescope revealed the sharpest infrared photographs of the universe that we have ever seen. Inflation, you look at the economy. How's the economy doing? Inflation, surging. The economy, and we're heading probably into a recession. Happy New Year. You had Pope Benedict passed away, right? And in the 600 years, right? In 600 years, we have not seen in the Catholic Church, right, a pope resign and step down. Now you have the acting pope is going to be presiding over the funeral of the past pope. This is crazy. I can't wait to see this. I was a Benedict fan, by the way. Not so much a Francis fan. I'm not going to get into that. You have your own opinions on that. We had Roe versus Wade got overturned. I mean, so many different events happened. I'm not taking a stand. I'm just telling you, these are huge, monumental things that happened over the course of 2022 as we look back on the past year. But now let's bring it to where you are today. And if we had pictures of your life and looking back on 2022, right? You had some highs and you probably had some lows. Would there be events that would define your existence as a human being in 2022? Yes. A lot of things happen in your life. I'm not going to go into my own life, but just think about your life. Sit there. Think about some of the things that happened in this past year. Now, stretched out before us, stretched out on a canvas is a blank slate that for the most part is unwritten. It's unwritten. You have a calendar year. Now, there are certain things that you know that you may have to do, whether it's your job or certain vacations, things that maybe you just have there. But for the most part, here we are on January 1st, 2023, there is a blank calendar that is there, and it's yet to be written on. It is unwritten what's going to happen. Is that exciting? Maybe not. I don't know. Depends who I ask, maybe in the room. And just like this past year has been defined by these key events, did you know that this past year, you technically would be known for something? That there is a legacy that you left this past year? You may go, well, I just kind of lived my life in 2023. I would say, no. That those people that are close to you, they would probably say, if I had to define what you'd be known for this past year, it would be this, or this. Now, in 2023, you're going to be known for something. What do you want to be known for? This year, 2023, what do you want your life to be defined by? That is the question I'm posing here for the first sermon of the new year. What kind of legacy do you want? You hear that word a lot, legacy. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind at the end of 2023? Or even, you know what? What kind of legacy do you want in general? What do you want your kids to say about you? What do you want your grandkids to say about you one day? It's not a morbid thought. We're supposed to be. James talks about our life. It's here today, gone tomorrow. It's like a mist. And it just evaporates, but we think we're going to be here forever. There I am this past month. Here I am already, I have so much stuff in my brain, and I'm just going to share like we're around a fire, like it's just us, okay? And there I was for the past month. I have Lyme disease, tick-related issues, and it's chronic, and I had to a doctor sent me, I had to do an IV infusion 3 days a week for a month, and I had to go to a cancer center. And really interesting, there were certain days, literally I thought people were going to, it's the condition of some of the people that it would break my heart just to sit there and to kind of look around. But you know what I looked at it as? At the end, on the last day this Friday, I said, this was a gift that I was able to sit here for the past month and reflect on my own life and what I want to do and what's truly important. There were 2 people at different sessions. I thought they were going to die. Nurses, doctors gathering around. And I sat there and said, I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to say, what do I want to do with my life and what time I have left? Happy New Year. I don't know. This is just what God put on my heart that I'm supposed to talk about. I read an article this past year. I'm going to show you the person. This is Louis Sullivan. How many of you know the name? Louis Sullivan. All right, nobody knows the name Louis Sullivan. Really? Nobody? Louis Sullivan is one of the greatest architects, world-renowned architects. He actually mentored Frank Lloyd Wright. And here's the article that I saw, and it was very poignant. It resonated with me. The title of the article, ready? New York Times, Legacy Up in Smoke. You see, in Chicago and New York, he was the architect behind over 150 buildings. In these 2 cities, over 150. Now, the article went on to talk about present day today. You know how many of those buildings are still left? Less than 15. Out of all the buildings, this great architect, world-renowned, people loved his designs. Less than 15 of the buildings that he engineered behind the scenes, he's the one, the orchestrator, and it said legacy up in smoke. And then I said to myself, what am I spending my time on in my life that is going to go up in smoke? I feel like I'm at a funeral home a little bit. Sometimes we need cold water thrown in our face. What are you spending your time on? Is it on these phones and all these apps and all this stuff that just distracts us as we spend time on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and everything else, and it just distracts us and takes us away? It's stultifying. We don't get anything from it. What are you spending your time on that is going to go up in smoke? That's what I'm doing. I'm evaluating for my own life. What am I doing? What am I doing with the time that I have? Is it legacy worthy, the time that I spend in what I do just on a daily basis? I know what my wife's sitting there thinking on the front row, because you're a pastor. Can I tell you this? I'm going to digress for a second. I am in the fantasy football championship today. Yeah, that's right. Don't text me later on today. I'm going to be watching that football. And I know how important it is to win a fantasy football championship, right? I can't get into heaven unless I win, right? I just know that's the only way I can get in. I sit there and I laugh. My wife's like, you are in complete, I get intense. Like, I won't be at home today. I'm gonna be at my cousin's house today watching some of the games because I'll get intense. And then I think about, just think about how dumb this is. I'm watching a TV screen, men in tights, helmets and shoulder pads, and they're running around. And however one of those guys does, who doesn't care about me, my life, or anybody else in the world, he cares about winning a football game. He's getting paid to do it, but I care so much about how that guy does. How stupid is that? So dumb, but I care. And I try not to, and I try to extricate myself and get out. I want to retire from fantasy football. Mike, will they let me out? Where's Mike? Mike, will they let me out? If I said tomorrow, hey, I'm retiring, would they let me out? No way. Can't get out. It's like you're in. It's like the mafia. Once you're in, you can't get out. I tried years ago. You can't get out. Can't get out. Mike, are you rooting for me? Mike's in the league. Okay. What do you think Mike's going to say? Are you rooting for me? If Mike said he's not going to be rooting for me, then that's a problem. That's a problem. But really, think about it. So, what is the supreme legacy that we as Christians should be shooting for? To keep it really simple, what is the supreme legacy for us as Christians that we should be shooting for? And you know what? The Bible talks about three things. And think about like life, like architecture, lines, angles, curves. You think about, you go to a paint store, right? You go to a paint store, you go to, I don't know, Sherman-Williams, or what's the other one, Benjamin Moore, and you go in there. There are three primary colors, right? Red, blue, and yellow. Primary things, three things. And the Bible talks about three things. And let me just show you, and we're going to get a little deep, but not in the beginning. Give me a little bit of time. Look at what the Apostle Paul says. And the more I'm actually reading, like, just how amazing, you guys have done, you've done a lot of Bible studies on right, his letters. You could spend an eternity reading these letters and exegeting them and just expounding on them. I mean, there's just so much there. They're so rich. And look what he says here in 1 Corinthians 13:13. And now, these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. The greatest of these is love. And you think about these things, faith and hope. Now, we need to put our faith in Jesus Christ while we're here, right? While we're on earth, we put our faith in him. You think about a hope, the Bible talks about that we have a living hope in Jesus Christ because of the resurrection. Of what happened 2,000 years ago, we have a living hope. But then you think about love. Can I put this before you? Faith and hope are things that you can't take with you when you die. But love, you can. You're not going to need faith one day. You'll see Jesus face to face. You're not going to need hope that things are going to change because every tear is going to be dried. Oh, there's not going to be any more sickness, no more death, no more disease. But love will remain. Love will remain. Supreme legacy. Now, I know when you hear this too, right? What do you think of when you see this right away? You're thinking Wedding Crashers, right? For the less religious in the room, right? One of the greatest movies ever. Certain scenes are inappropriate, and you can judge a pastor that I watched that 20 years ago and actually laughed and thought some of it was very funny, right? But you think like weddings, don't you? Aren't you looking for the flower girl? You're looking for the flower, right? You're looking for all the stuff that has to do with the wedding. Oh, 1 Corinthians 13, love, the love chapter. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so lovely. Now move on from this. Look what he says in chapter 14 in the New Living Translation. He says, let love be your highest goal. Another translation says, let it be your loftiest goal. Can I put before us, what if the supreme legacy that we could have as Christians in 2023 is that we would be synonymous with love? That we would be loving with our marriages, with our kids, and that people out there, when they see us, they would say, man, that person knows how to love. There's just something different about them. And you're at a school or wherever you are in an office, that you would be synonymous with love. When you come in, you're not some cranky, angry person. You're not condescending. You show the love of Christ. It comes through. What if that was our legacy for 2023? That we were people that showed forth the love of Christ. You think about, like, let's just do a little game. Ready? Word association. Denzel Washington. Actor, right? Amazing actor, right? He's an amazing actor. If I said to you, Michael Jordan. All right, athlete, the greatest athlete of all time, right? Sorry, Tom Brady. I don't care how many Super Bowls you win. The guy's he's a good quarterback. He's not a great athlete. I'm sorry. There's a difference between the two. Michael Jordan could be right? You know what I'm talking about? Right. There are certain things that we associate, right, with if I said Ernest Hemingway. Great writer, books, right? And you could say other, if I said the Kardashians. Trash. My 13-year-old, 13 years old, knows, he said plastic. That's good. Very true. Right? It's true. But did you know at the end of the day, when people look at you, the people that you work with or the people that you live with, you're associated with something. They look at you and there's a certain, right? I mean, I don't know, I'll embarrass him a little because he just doesn't care. My dad, everybody knows his nickname is Happy Jack. He is the happiest man. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if the house is going to burn down. It doesn't matter what happens. The guy, it just has a smile on his face, is able to take everything kind of in stride, right? But you know what I'm talking about? But people, when they look at you, and you should ask people, you know what? If you're brave enough, I want you to ask the people that are closest to you, what are you synonymous with in your life, with your actions? Are you brave enough to do that? That's a kind of an interesting conversation. What do you think of? I don't want any marital fights. I don't want any texts. I don't want any emails. But I thought it would be kind of interesting if we looked at things that way. Now, look at what he says here in the beginning of 1 Corinthians 13. He says, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames, but have not love, I gain nothing. You can have more degrees than a thermometer. You could be the smartest person on the planet. You can be a philanthropist and give so much money away and be so generous. You can do all these things. You could prophesy. You could be a miracle worker. Do all these things. And he says it's bereft at the end of the day if it does not come from love. If it's lacking love, it doesn't make a difference. Can I give you something really cool? You love the Bible? You love the Bible? Ready? Something kind of cool? When Paul is writing this, you know when he says, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal? Can I give you the cultural reference? I love this stuff. This is the stuff I live for, right? When he's writing this, he is really talking about, in the first century, there would be pagan temples. And the pagans, when they went in, not Christians, right? When they went into the temple, they would go, and right before they got into the temple, there would be a big, like cymbal that would be there, and they would hit that, and boom, and it would be really loud, and the sound would reverberate, and everybody would hear it. You know why they did that? Because they were waking up the gods. That's what they believed. So, now that you understand this, understand he is saying how silly it is and how dumb it is. Just like the pagans, as they go to a temple and they hit the big, the symbol that is there, and they're trying to wake up the gods, how dumb it is for us to think that we can do all these things and have not love. It is meaningless. How good is that? It's really good. That's the essence of what he's saying here. You know what? This is what Eugene Peterson says. In the Message translation, look at this. He says, so no matter what I say, what I believe and what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. How good is that? Such a good, sometimes you hit the message and you're like, wow, that didn't really hit me. But a lot of times you go, wow, you nailed it. And this is, in essence, that's exactly what he's doing. He's nailing it by saying we're bankrupt without love. How many of you are into math? I'm not a numbers guy. Not a numbers guy. You're a numbers guy. Ready? 15 plus 10. 25. You have a gift. All right, now let's go 10 times 15. A little bit harder. No. This is just for Jeremiah. This isn't for y'all, right? I know you're right. This is for my man right here. Any idea? You got to take your time. Gosh, Jeremiah, are you gonna be a math teacher one day? All right, okay. Got that out of what's that, Mom? Oh, he's in the Math Olympiads. Give it up for Jeremiah, who's a Math Olympiad. You want to know a fact about your pastor up here? Guarantee you're better at math right now, your age, than I am. No, I'm not kidding you. Yeah, that's right. You already are. But that's all right, good job. Ready, Jeremiah? It's going to get a little bit harder now. Suppose we multiply 1 million times 1,000. Anybody can answer this one, not just you. It's just hard. 1 million times 1,000. What are we going? I heard it over here. What do we got? All right, we got 1 billion. 1 billion, okay? I didn't know it either. Then I started to look stuff up, right? You get a trillion, then you go higher. Then above a trillion, you know what it is? Quadrillion, okay? You know what's above that? Who knew that? Vincent, gosh, I have some smart people in this room. That's what you paid for, Mom and Dad, an education at Maritime. Look what happened. He came home and he knew what quintillion was, which is 1 followed by, ready, 18 zeros. That's an enormous number. Now, Vincent, right, since you're so smart, all right, is it all right if all right, so let's multiply 15 quintillion times 0. What do we get?
0.
Jeremiah, I got to go to my other math guy over here. I need you to tell me, is he correct? 15 quintillion times 0.
0.
0. Wow. So you're telling me at the end of the day, if we are to multiply something, no matter if we take the largest number in the entire world on the left-hand side and we multiply it by 0, we are going to come up with 0. I am using that as an illustration, as a picture for what the Apostle Paul is saying here in 1 Corinthians. It doesn't matter what you do, all the greatest things that you could possibly do on the planet, but if you don't have love, it means nothing. It's all about love. It really is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's so simple. Now, can I go a little bit deeper? Can I take you a little bit deeper? Because up to this point, you're like, I get it, I got it. Look what he says in verses 4 through 7. This is where he pulls out the jiu-jitsu, and this is where he takes us and he puts you right on your back, okay? Verses 4 through 7, he says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not speak its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Did you know when he's writing this to the Corinthian church, they were like a mixed bag, right? They were very talented. There's a lot of good things that were going on in the Corinthian church, and then there's a lot that is just, as dysfunctional as you could ever imagine. So he's got both things going on because they're envious, and they're prideful, and they're boasting about what they know and who they are. So Paul is kind of hitting them. He's saying, yes, he's reversing things when he hits verses 4 through 7, because he's saying, yes, you could be smart, you could be gifted, you could be talented, you could be doing things for God, but in your heart, if you're filled with anger, if you're filled with pride, if you're filled with envy, at the end of the day, you are bankrupt. He's flipping it. He's trying to show them. And then I started to look at, you know what, the culture that we live in? Because Paul's message is diametrically opposed. It's antithetical to the cultural message that is pervasive that we hear and see every day. All right, so you know what I did? Okay. I went to Amazon. When you're in doubt, go to Amazon. And I typed in love. I wanted to do a quick search on how many books are written on the topic of love. So this is just a general idea. Ready? 170,208 titles. So then I started to look through, because I don't know, I'm a loser, or I was looking through some of the titles. I don't know. The Nature and Chemistry of Romantic Love. Okay. How about this one? Strategies of Human Dating. That sounds like a good romantic read. Strategies of Human Dating. This was my favorite, though. Ready? You're going to want to get this. People are going to be ordering it. Keep your phones away. I know you're going to want to order it. Stop getting dumped. All you need to know to make men fall madly in love with you and marry the one in 3 years or less. Yes, that is an actual title. It's just so interesting, the culture that we live in and what love looks like and what we're supposed to do and what it really means. Now, here's what Paul is doing. Can I show you something that's really, this is what he's doing. Ready? When it says here, love suffers long and is kind, love does not envy, love does not parade itself. Do you know what he's doing? He is personifying love. You have to see this. He is personifying love. Paul, why would you personify love? Paul is saying, I'm personifying it because there is a power that you need to understand. This isn't something that you try to get. I'm going to try as hard as I can because much of Christendom says it's try. Try to be loving. Try to be more long-suffering. Don't be rude. Don't get provoked. Rejoice, rejoice. Do all these things. You can do it. And Paul is saying no. He's personifying love because it's a power that picks you up and sweeps you off of your feet. He's not just talking about a power. He's talking about a person. That's what the gospel is. Come on, church. He's talking about the life of Christ. He said, you don't understand. If you try to do this on your own, you'll never be able to do it. You can try your darndest. You can try your hardest. But when another life that comes to live on the inside of you, he's personifying that Jesus is love. Jesus is your joy. Jesus is peace. Jesus is what you need, and he lives through you. That's exactly what he's doing. This is what he thinks of. And you know, I told you, this isn't going to be a long message. I'm going to close soon because I think hopefully you're getting the point of what I'm talking about here with love, but how beautiful this message is. And I'm thinking about as we start to close, and as I start to land the plane, Tommy, yeah, you can play the keyboard. Thank you. I think when he writes these words, this is just what I'm thinking about. I'm crying last night just to myself. Shocker. I'm sitting there on my computer, and I just have tears streaming down my face because I'm thinking about Paul, and I'm just writing stuff down about what was it like for him? What is he thinking as he pens these words? I think he's thinking of Jesus. Of course he is. When it says there, love suffers long, how could he not be thinking about the one that hung on a cross? You know, later on at 1 o'clock, I'll be watching football games, and some of you, maybe you do too, and we think about the greatest athletes ever. We think about the toughest people. We think about people that are resilient and how they persevere. Jesus Christ was fully God, and he was fully man, and he carried across a few football fields. He was mocked. He was spat on. He was whipped. He was the toughest person the world has ever seen, fully God, but also fully man. And he said that I'm going to suffer. I'm going to take the sin of the world on my shoulders. I'm going to take all the iniquity. I'm the perfect lamb, but I'm going to take it to satisfy my Father's wrath. When he said love does not keep a record of wrongs, he has to be thinking of the one who was on the cross at Calvary. And he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. I think that's what he's thinking when he writes that. When he writes, Father, when Paul says, when he says, love always protects and hopes, I think about Jesus who is on the cross. He is dying on the cross, and he tells the one thief, today you'll be with me in paradise, that down to his last dying breath, he protects and comforts the one that was open. You can't tell me this isn't who Jesus is thinking about. As he's on that cross, today you will be with me in paradise. And then he says on the cross, he says, it is finished, which means it's completed. It is accomplished. That's what I came to do. Love perseveres. He pushes through the darkness. He pushes through the doubt. Love never fails. You know, he's never going to forsake us. He's never going to leave you, and he's never going to forsake you. You know, and here's the other thing. Why does Paul personify love like this? Because, you know what? The world that you live in, people think it's about your good deeds, right? Don't you always hear people? It's about being a good person. It's about being a good person. You see why he couldn't make it abstract? Paul is saying, no. The gospel is it's a person. Because if we try to live up to this and we can achieve all these things and this is us, then it's pride and we don't need God and we're doing it all on our own. But on the opposite there would be fear. If I can't live up to all this, look at me, I'm a failure. And he's saying, don't worry about it. You don't do it. It's another life that lives on the inside of you. And he is the one that makes the changes. So you know what, church? As we roll into 2013, you need to trust the life that lives on the inside of you this year. And that you ask God, Lord, I want to be more conformed into the image and likeness of your Son, Jesus Christ. I want your life. I admit that I can't do this on my own. I am a failure. I can't do it, but you can. And the greatest thing that you could have done, you said, I'm going to live inside of you and make it so that you don't have to try. Can we stop trying, saints? In 2023, you don't have to try to live. You can just ask this morning as you come to the table, the one that hung on a cross, the one that laid down his life. That's what I want City on a Hill Community Church to be characterized this year, by love. By love. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I want to hear miracles. I'm praying, even right now as I'm speaking, I'm praying favor over your lives in 2023. We sang that song, Favor, and I leaned over to my son and I said, favor over your kids and their kids after. And we're believing that for 2023. I'm believing he's going to make a way. He's going to make a way in a job, in a situation, people in this room. He's going to make a way in marriages. Because I know there are people probably sitting in this room and your marriage isn't in a great place. And nobody else knows it, but you know it. And I'm believing that there's going to be a breakthrough in your marriage in 2023. I'm believing there's going to be a breakthrough in your finances in 2023. No matter what you see there and what the economy looks like, I'm believing that God's going to meet all of your needs. I'm not saying this isn't a health and wealth prosperity gospel that sometimes you hear propagated out there, but God is a good God, and he is a provider, and we are his sons and his daughters, and we are in a covenant relationship with him, and we can take him at his word and hold it up to him and say, God, I'm believing this is what your word says, and as your sons and daughters, this is our deed. You have given this to us, and I'm believing that this can happen in my life, my kids' lives. Are you praying for kids this year in 2023? Well, let this be the year that the kids, the wayward kids, the prodigals, Lord, I'm praying that the prodigals would come home. Lord, I'm praying that this would be the year, Father. Do it, Lord. I ask for miracles in relationships. Lord, make yourself known to those kids. They have they have a lot of questions. Lord, show them that you are the foundation. Show them of who you are, that you are a good God, that you're not religious and you want a relationship. Help them see this is the relationship that they've always wanted. As they're looking and they're searching everywhere that they can try to find life, that they need to find life in you. There's no greater, listen, it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to be a minister, just to be a Christian. Is it not getting, the stress and the pressure is getting cranked up like I've never seen it before. Maybe you don't feel that way, but I feel that. Does anybody else feel that way? It's getting harder to get your butt in church on a Sunday morning. Is it getting harder? Easy. It's easy to just stay home. Is it getting harder to stay in relationship with other people? I think it's getting harder. Is it getting harder to really trust him? Because you know what? There's so much noise that is out there. May this be the year, too, we get back to sitting at his feet. And not get so distracted, Martha, that's okay, that's great, you're doing all this stuff. But let's just get down, let's sit at his feet this year and trust and believe that he's going to live through us and he's going to give us what we need. How many of you want that? This is the year we're believing. Lord, we're believing as we come to this table. I'm thankful for the finished work of Calvary. It's not half finished. You didn't start it. You completed something. You finished it. You are the finisher, the author, the perfecter. You ran the race of a lifetime, and now you're looking for us. And I see all the other saints that are in the balcony, and there's Peter, and there's Paul, and there's Ruth, and there's Esther, and there's David, and there's Moses, and there's Noah, and there's Abraham, and there's Sarah, and there's Zacchaeus over here too. And then you see blind Bartimaeus, and they're all cheering us on. May we run the race that you have set out for us to run in 2023 as the days get darker, but may we be light and salt. And when other people see our good works, may you be glorified in heaven. May we get out there and continue to show forth who you are, Lord. May we not back down. I ask, too, for courage in this room. I ask for in 2023 that there would be real courage, there would be boldness to proclaim the gospel and to bring the good news to people that are down and out, that are downtrodden. I believe that's going to happen in here, that you're going to take steps of faith. Oh, Spirit of the living God, give us that spirit of courage to have conversations, to step out in faith and to believe that you're speaking and to see things as though they're not, to believe that you're working behind the scenes, believe that you're a way maker. and to show people the goodness of who you are, just to present that. May we just open up our mouths. May we have be ready with our testimony. May we be ready in season and out of season. This is the season that we need to be ready, Christian. This is the season, Christians. I'm saying to everybody in here that we need to be ready because people are looking and they're searching like they've never searched before. Because they know. They put their hope in the economy, and that's let them down. They're putting their hope in everything that's out there that the world has to offer, and people are still looking and they're still searching. Because there's an infinite hole, and they're trying to fill it. We're trying to fill it with finite things, and it's an infinite hole, and it can only be filled by something that's infinite, and that's God. That's God. So, church, we come now before the table. And I said a lot. I prayed a lot. I don't know. Does anybody else want to? Does anybody else you want to pray too? I'm only one voice. Does anybody else want to pray and say something and speak something out into the atmosphere before we even take the table? Anybody bold enough you want to? I don't know. Just don't. You don't have to. But I didn't know if anybody wanted to. It's a small setting that's here. You're here with family. Let's break the rules a little bit. Why do there have to be rules? Does anybody want to speak out into the atmosphere? The power of life and death is in the tongue, and we need to speak things out. All right, nobody does. Father, we come before the elements. We come before your table. We are thankful, Lord. May we not stop trying to make these things happen. May we receive what is already inside of us, your life, and may you live in us and through us. May we stop trying so hard, Lord. Behavior management, do this and do that. May we just love you, and may you mold and shape us and transform us more into your image in 2023. And may we be synonymous with love when other people see us, that they just say, that is one of the most loving people I have ever seen. May that happen, Lord. Do a miracle inside of our heart that only you can do. Amen. I have a lot of regrets, church, from the time that I wasted not loving people enough. I just want to love people. Not just my family. I want to love people. When I see kids, I just want to love. Lord, make us more loving so that they see Jesus. That's my prayer.